Okay, so by now you should have received your credentials to log in to your website. It's going to be your username, usually your first initial and your last name, like mine would be F. Rodriguez, or something else if that name were already taken. The examples that I'm going to be using, I'm working with my account, which is idtprof, and my website is that username, idtprof, and then .weirdit.com. That's the full website. When I go there, there's nothing. This is a blank website. The good thing about it is that the Apache server on the website is working. It's on port 80, which means I can go back and forth on a web browser, and there's a CGI bin folder that I'm not going to be using, not for this class probably. The first thing I want to do is create a database that I can work with online. So I'm going to go to a different website, or rather the same website but a different page inside of it. So right after my username.weirdit.com, I'm going to type a slash and tell it to go to the cpanel, control panel, and press enter. It's going to be checking some connection issues, and if you're working at the El Centro College main campus, this might take about 20 seconds or less, hopefully, and then we'll see the additional login. So it's asking me again to log in. It's my username and then the password that's assigned to me. You should have received an email with your password. If you didn't, please contact the instructor. That's me. Putting in my password and pressing enter, and then I get the control panel. And there's a few tools that I'll be using for the database course. And by few, I mean just a couple. There's a whole bunch of stuff that we can do here. Most of this will not necessarily apply to us just yet. So unless we go into building a big, great website or add a content management system, I'm only going to be concerned mostly with the file manager and specifically with the databases. The first thing we want to do is create a database. That's what this assignment and your first grade, at least for this section, will consist of. I'm going to click on MySQL databases, and it tells me here, it gives me the menu, and it says I can create a new database, and I'm not going to be too picky about adding users or things like that just yet. I just want to create a new database. One thing to take account of is that for the control panel that our vendor uses, you will be creating a database, and it's going to have your username and an underscore as the first part of the name. I'm going to use something simple, something that I can remember, something that may be associated with the old assignments that may be still posted on this course. So I'm going to call it my database. Truly, the full name of the database is idtprof_my database. Hopefully yours, if you are John Smith, will be jsmith_my database, or something simple. Don't get too fancy, don't get too creative, don't use special characters. You might confuse the system, and then you'll be confused as well. I'm going to click on Create Database to accept this, and it tells me that it's added a database, idtprof_my database, and I can go back to the same menu. If anything, I can go and hover on top of the buttons over here and up to the top left and just tell it to go home. And then I can see my SQL databases again, which is I'm sure where I was. I'm going to scroll down a little bit. It tells me I can modify some databases, and we might go about doing this later. I'm not too concerned about them just now. We can repair them, but more importantly, it shows you the current databases. I have one. It's called idtprof my database. It's got 0 megabytes, and I can rename it. I can delete it. I can do a couple of things. I don't want to rename it. I don't want to delete it. At some point I will, but not yet. Every change that you make here will greatly affect your content and your site. Like I said, we won't be needing any SQL users just yet, or probably not at all, and we are pretty much ready to move on to the next lesson. So for this assignment, I need you then to show me that you have created a new database, that you have the control panel open, that you're listing your current databases, create a screen capture of this screen that shows me this information and turn this in with this assignment for your grade.